guys, how's it going? Today I'm out in the cut flower garden getting all of our dahlia tubers in the ground. I think we're finally at a point where the weather will behave itself. I hate to even say that because you never say never with this spring. It's been so weird. I mean, last week we had one night where it was 31, but the 10-day is showing fairly warm temperatures now, one night at 38, but I don't think that's going to affect the tubers underneath the soil surface. Here's our area all prepped and ready to go, so I don't think that this process is going to take us very long. In fact, I think writing out labels is going to be what takes us the longest today. This is where we grew our dahlias last year, so we had already installed the T-posts and we just left them up from last year, which is really nice. We did take the ropes down, so we use like a thin nylon kind of rope, and we tie them off at 2 foot high and then another one at 3 foot and just run them between like all the way down the rows, and that way as the dahlias grow we have something to lash them to. We also make sure to plant the dahlias kind of on this side so that as they grow we can kind of train them to be on this side of the rope, the staking system, because the wind usually travels this direction. So if it's blowing the dahlia plants, it'll blow them into the rope instead of, you know, if they were on this side, they would want to just fall over and we would have to stake everything. When we do it on this side, oftentimes we don't actually have to lash them to the rope. They just rest on it and it works really well. Just over 400 holes spaced every 12 inches apart, and land and sea compost and biotone starter fertilizer have already been added. And that's pretty much all I give them all season, to be completely honest. Like the last 2 years that we've grown them in a big patch, I don't come along and I haven't come along and fertilized them a second time, and they've done really well. We have the holes spaced out every 12 inches, so just 1 foot apart. You can go 18 inches if you want, because a lot of dahlia plants will get quite large, but honestly 12 inches has worked really well for us. And then we use drip tape with emitter holes every 6 inches. And I know it seems like, you know, I should use it with holes every 12 inches because that's how far apart I'm planting my dahlias. But I tried that the first year and we ended up pulling that out and putting this in instead because the coverage was so much better and we didn't have to run the zone as long when I do the every 6 inch spacing. I think it's gonna be a little bit easier this year too, because last year we had already tied the rope up before we planted. So I had to, I couldn't just walk freely through this area. This year we're waiting until they're all in the ground and then we'll put the rope on. I think that way it'll save me a ton of steps. I was gonna try to color block my dahlias and do all my pinks together, all my reds, all my whites. I don't think I'm gonna do that because I don't have them organized that way in the crates. I'm basically just going to pull out whatever tubers come out of each crate, and that's what's gonna go in the ground. We typically plant them 4 to 6 inches deep, and the tubers usually lay horizontally in the hole with the eye facing up. Let me show you. These are all the crates that I set aside for this space. Okay, so this is a perfect example. We have our tuber here, there's the growth point. So what we'll do is we'll come along to each hole. This one's actually a little bit deep. I'm gonna backfill a bit. Let's see where the actual soil surface is. Let's see. And then you take your tuber and lay it in the hole horizontally like that with the eye facing up. And then we just backfill. Voila, first one is done. What did that say? Was that a Natalie G? Dang it, I forgot to see what kind that one was. IDing plants is fairly important. Yep, Natalie G, good, dang. Done. Once we have all of them planted, see how we've got this landscape stapled down right here? We'll just move the whole drip tape over so that it kind of runs right alongside all of these holes instead of being so far out. Like it'll be kind of like that. I did take an inventory of my dahlias just because we had so many of them, and we have sent them to several states actually. A bunch of dahlias went out last week, and then a bunch went to my mom's garden, and I did hold back a few extras because I do want to plant a few in flower beds just for fun. So I do have a few left in the studio sitting on the floor there where we were working on them before. Anyway, I have an inventory, so I know exactly how many of each variety I'm going to be planting in this area. So Natalie G's, I held back 10. So I'm going to root around in this crate. They should be all kind of like roughly in the same crates, I think. So I'm going to try to find all the Natalie G's, put those all in the same spot. I won't worry about, you know, making sure all the pinks are together and all of that sort of business. But anyway, that's basically what I'm going to be doing this afternoon. It's a beautiful day today. My parents were just over. We had a picnic out in the lawn with the kids, and now Samantha's sleeping and Benjamin's just going back and forth. He just cut a bunch of tulips. He just cut a bunch of these Bud Light tulips in the garden. He said he wanted to make an arrangement for me. So cute. The only other couple of things is that you want to make sure to plant your dahlias in plenty of sun. They like a lot of sun, the more the better. You want to make sure to have some kind of staking system. It can look like this, which is pretty like practical, I guess. It's good for a bigger area. In our flower beds, I'll probably use individual stakes for each plant rather than, you know, staking them to ropes. And then you want to make sure that they have a consistent source of water, which we do have out here. In the heat of the summer, we typically have to water them every single day to keep them happy. But this time of year, like today, because we're typically so dry, I will water them today one time. And then I will wait till I see green growth coming up out of the soil. And that at that point, that's when I'll start consistently watering. A lot of people just put them in the ground and don't water them at all until they see growth. So it kind of just depends on your area and what kind of moisture, what kind of rainfall you receive. Okay, so I'm just gonna get after this. This is gonna be a really nice afternoon, you guys. I've been looking forward to this. Guys, it is a new day. It took a little bit longer to plant than I had anticipated. When I was all done, I watered them in initially, and like I said, I will wait till I see green growth up above the ground before I start consistently watering. When I was taking the tubers out of the crates, I kind of realized that they were a little bit more spread out, like they weren't all grouped together by variety necessarily. Most of them were, but I had the numbers on my inventory sheet of each variety and how many of each I was going to plant. So I really needed to get all of them or most all of them out of the crates in order to organize properly. So I was able to color block, which will be fun just to see how that turns out. So what we ended up with are the first two rows are pink and then yellow, orange, white varieties, red, and then the shorter row is a little bit of a mix, but mostly red. Also, you'll notice that Paul had a chance to come out here and make everything look so good and tidy. So what he did was pulled the drip tape so that it kind of runs right along the staking system, and then did just a fine layer of land and sea compost over the top just to cover the soil surface. And then he used the wood chips, which we had left over from the spring, to mulch the pathways and kind of just a little perimeter line right there. Same stuff that we used in this row right here. We've just been using it up because we had it sitting in a pile, and it is making things look a lot tidier. And there's a bunch of activity going on this morning. So they're here painting the shed today. There's a house being built super fast right there. I'm just amazed at the process and how fast they're going. It's definitely a hub of activity out here today, but it's really fun to see progress happening. And we ended up with roughly 78 different varieties of dahlia out here, which is so fun. It's such a wonderful mix. Some of which I planted more of, like my favorites. Cafe con Leche is one of them. I absolutely love that dahlia, and so I think I've got 10 of those. And then a lot of the new ones. So I ordered from Swan Island Dahlias for the very first time this year. So I ordered like 1 or 2 of those different varieties, like Cherubino I'm really excited about. There's one called B-Man, which was kind of fun because my dad calls Benjamin B-Man. So anyway, we've got some of those going. There's one called Giggles, Heartthrob, Vixen, Black Satin. I can't remember all of them, but anyway, it'll be fun to see a few different varieties. New varieties. So that's pretty much it for the dahlias today. Now this fall, I do not plan on digging a single dahlia. I think we're gonna try mulching them up really heavily and then tarping them to protect them from excessive amounts of moistures. Typically, like the last 4 years, we've had a mild enough winter for them to survive. In fact, we have some that I popped in flower beds last year that are growing this year that I did nothing special to. So I'm hoping that we can cut way down on the amount of hours that we're putting into this crop. And then maybe putting them on a rotation to where we're just digging 1 row per year, because it is good after a certain amount of time, because they will weaken, to dig them up and divide them so that you can have nice, healthy healthy clumps, but you know, it takes a few years for that to happen. So we'll just see how it goes. That's the plan for this year, just because I don't really want to go through that whole process again this fall. All right guys, so the last thing we're going to tackle is our birch tree. So we have an avalanche birch near our chicken coop that has been beautiful the last couple of years. I think we planted it 2, maybe 3 seasons ago. Absolutely gorgeous. And then this year, the top is completely dead. I've never seen anything like that. I've never had anything like that happen. And the thing about birch trees in our area, we do have borers here. So we have to treat them with a systemic, just like we have to with willows. And this one has been treated every year that it's been in our garden. And we always wait till after bloom time to do our treating. That way the chemical's not in the tree when pollinators are out. But I've got to get up there and inspect what's going on and possibly cut out the top of the birch. I don't know. Hey dude, I'm gonna get up in the tractor. Well, how about you come and watch first? So we have this, one of you guys actually sent us out this box that you can put on forks. It's like a safety box, I don't know. You can get in it and be raised up. So Erin's gonna raise me up so I don't have to get a big old ladder out. And we're gonna do some inspection here. The other possibilities for something like this is that there's some kind of root disturbance, which there has been equipment around the tree, but not near its root system. Like nothing's been digging around it. There could possibly be a water issue. I don't know. I don't think it's that. We have a drip system around it. It's been very consistently taken care of. The other thing is maybe like a late frost, like nipped the ends and there's some winter damage, but nothing else has sustained any kind of damage. So I don't think it's that. Let me show you what we're dealing with. Got that on there nice and tight. Okay, so here we are. There's the chicken coop and here's the birch tree, and the bottom is just as healthy as can be. But then you look at the top, look at that. It's just all dead up there. I have never had anything like that happen. So as we get closer, I mean, there's no signs of any kind of damage or any kind of disease or insect down here. I mean, it's always something you want to look for because everything is possible until you kind of get it figured out. But look at how gorgeous this is. And the weird part about it is that there were no signs of anything going awry last year. I mean, I have pictures of this tree in the fall to prove it. I mean, there were leaves all the way to the top. Gorgeous. I see buds up there, so we'll see. All right, Erin doesn't feel comfortable with this. Okay, so we just tried this and I don't think it's gonna get quite high enough without it becoming dangerous. So Erin, you said you'd go grab the tallest ladder we have and we'll see if I can reach up there. I don't really wanna start cutting with a pole pruner though until I can tell what's going on. Yeah, I might be able to get close enough-ish. Are you gonna hold the ladder for me at the bottom? Sure. All right, well, it's getting me close enough, I think. I can kind of see, boy, is there flexibility? Let's check for green underneath the bark. Yeah, there's still green, Erin. Really? Yeah. There is no frass, which frass is like where the borers go in because the adults lay eggs inside the tree during the summer season typically, like the year before or maybe even 2 years before you see damage on your tree. But you'll see like little holes, and typically like a birch borer leaves a D-shaped hole, and then you'll see little like sawdust gathered in places, and I don't see any of that. So you want to look lower too, not just at the affected part. But everything just looks so darn healthy in here. I am seeing zero activity of any kind on any of these branches. I'm gonna take out one branch and we're gonna bring it down and take a look at it closer. So if we do this, see, there's still some green under there.
Yeah, well, look at all these buds.
I know. The thing is that these buds they feel kind of dried up.
Did they get nipped?
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But they're still, well, that one's not. They have a certain amount of flex, not total flex. but like, it's not dead. So, I mean,
yeah, that's weird.
So there's no evidence of insect damage anywhere that I could see. Like, no, there's nothing down here, which if the adults like entered, you know, lower, you would see some of that frass like I was talking about. And then they typically, yeah.
Maybe we should just leave it.
Maybe. Oh, dang.
Expose the root
Yeah, well, maybe we'll do that. You can see that it wasn't planted. This is mulch around it. So maybe that's what's going on. Maybe we need to... I planted it at the same level as it was in its nursery can, not to say that that's proper every time. But yeah, there's roots coming out right here. See, there's a root right here.
Yeah.
It comes out. So maybe we just pull all this crap away from the trunk and give it some breathing room. See what happens to the top. And then if over time the top doesn't end up leafing out, we'll cut that out. But the rest of the tree is super healthy. We'll keep watching it for insects. I'm going to work on this just a little bit. Just kind of pulling away a little bit more of this. You can see all these roots around the top. We'll see what happens here. There's nothing around here. This is just all normal. I think this is a situation where we're just going to have to report back and tell you guys what happened in the end. Well, I'm really happy that I don't see bugs, which I shouldn't see bugs because we treat these at the proper time every single season. Well, since, you know, it's been in our garden. So you never know if a tree, especially if it's a little older, how it's been treated up to the, you just kind of trust that it's been treated properly till the point you put it in your garden. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave this today. Well, I'm glad we were able to get up high enough in the tree to really inspect it further. I mean, I had looked at it down below, but that doesn't mean that there isn't something going on a little bit higher. So hopefully it was just the fact that it got mulched up pretty high around the trunk. You know, we planted it the same way as we plant everything else around here, but that doesn't mean that occasionally something like that won't happen. So now that the mulch has been removed, hopefully the tree will improve. And then, like I said, if the top doesn't leaf out, which I doubt it's going to, even though there's life in it, boy, it's weird that the rest of the tree is so much further along. So anyway, if it doesn't leaf out, we'll cut that out and hopefully the tree will just pick up and keep growing, and we'll just keep an eye on it and monitor it. So we will let you know what happens with that later on. And that's going to do it for today, guys. Dahlias are in. Birch tree has been inspected. I feel good about it. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.